Hey guys, it's Greg Beast here in the FOA Beast Lab. Week 2 of my head reviews. I'm going to go over the most popular head in the face-off market right now, the Nike CEO. This head firmly has 70% of the face-off market. The dual is severely cutting into that as we speak, but as of right now, when you go to the National Showcase, you look around and for every other head that's out there, there were 3 CEOs, and it's the most dominant head by far in the face-off market. And everyone's like, why is it so dominant? Why does everybody like it so much? I found out this week. So here's the thing. Every single head that you look at on the face-off market, every lacrosse head in general up to this point, would bend on an oblique angle. So take this head for instance. Okay, this is a Scepter 7. It bends on an angle. Okay, you look at it right there, bends on an angle. It twists, so it's an oblique angle. And it wraps around the ball like this. Okay, and that's how most heads, every other head on the market bends. The CEO came along, and it bends like a soup ladle, flat. No other head on the market bends this way. Happy accident. The reason guys like it is because the ball gets stuck right in the throat, and if somebody tries to jam you or rotate you, the entire head bends, but the ball stays right there in the throat, and guys are able to pull it out. So as you can see, this is 1 week. The head is severely bent on an angle. It looks like a spatula right now. Pros to this head, that flex point, the head can bend. You cannot jam a CEO on a regular basis. If you try to jam or rejam a CEO, you're going to shove the ball directly into the throat, okay? And the person's going to come out right here. The ball's going to be flat right there. They're going to bend their stick all the way. It doesn't matter, and they're going to be able to pull the ball right out. So that's a huge pro. I learned by facing off with this head and taking live reps this week. This head gives you a severe handicap. If you are a little slow, if you under-rotate, if you don't rotate very well, this head is going to help you a lot. It's not going to win face-offs for you, but it'll give you that extra little boost. If you're not that fast on the rotation and someone's getting around the ball quicker than you, it's going to give you a little bit of a handicap because this head will bend like crazy. And that's why guys really don't like going against it. It's a tough head to face off against. Here are the cons to this head. Man, this thing is a movement set and biomechanic nightmare. It'll ruin your mechanics if you don't pay attention. I found myself, taking about 20 to 50 reps Monday through Friday this week, either on my own training with the app or going against some live reps with my buddy Chris. And the head was, I kept catching myself lining up and thinking mostly about my right hand and not punching my left. And you almost have to do the right hand punch a little bit with this head. Similar to the dual, the right hand has to do some action. So when you line up to the ball, you're gonna do this a little bit, okay? But if you do this and you don't punch that left hand, what's gonna start happening is you're gonna get over-rotated a lot. And what I've seen as a coach is guys get this crazy pinch in this head from going to draw days. The head is perfectly pinched for them, it bends like crazy, and they get so used to just doing this on the whistle and trying to jump out of there. When that head breaks and they get a new one, or they have to get a legal head and they go into a game, they're getting crushed right away because they need the head to break in like it was before. So you have to pay attention to your mechanics or you're going to get wiped out using this head. If you have the mechanics down, this head's very useful. So you punch the right hand and the left hand, okay, into the ball. If you're going to pop the ball out, okay, so something I always noticed as a coach and it drove me crazy is I would see guys, they would clamp, they would lock it, and they bring this left hand in. I get why now, because on a regular oblique head, you do this and the ball sticks. On this head, in order to crush it, you have to bend your arm in a little bit, okay, because you have to fold this head in half. I'm still going to be a stickler on my guys, because I don't want this. We don't want to clamp and then bring the ball back into our body, because then you're exposing it, and then you try to pop the ball forward, and you're going to get tripped up, okay, or you'll leave the ball behind. But what we can do is we just got to make sure that when you use this CEO, punch the ball forward, bring it in, but still facing this way. So now you've crushed the ball in half, so when you pop it out, you're going forward and you won't leave it behind. In order to pop this ball out on a backdoor exit, okay, this is a nightmare for backdoor because as you roll, the ball can slide out. You have to crank this head in half and then rotate out. Okay, so anytime you exit with a CEO, you have to make sure that you get this flex point right there. It sounds ridiculous and it looks ridiculous, but you have to crank this head right at the flex point. That's the reason this flex point exists. Because the way the sidewalls go this way, nothing's going back the other way. If you get a Nike Legacy, it's shaped exactly the same as this, except it has an extra sidewall going this way. So it wraps around the ball on an oblique like most other heads. But this one is unique. Now, as you can tell over time, it's going to fold, which means when you go to throw a pass, the scoop is crazy. It's like using a spoon. But when you go to throw a pass, it's going to go into the ground if you're not careful, because you're literally throwing it with an angle. Now, referees are going to get on you. Technically, there's no rule that says the head has to lay flat, but when a referee looks at this, if this is too pinched, like that, and they take the measuring tape to make sure it's 10 inches long, it's going to be short. So you have to be careful. You have to make sure you keep this as straight as you can, okay, bend it back. And also, you're going to have to stick a softball in this thing when you use it, because if not, it's going to end up being super pinched here, and it's going to be super pinched there. This thing bends like crazy. My guys at the draw days, especially, a lot of Long Island guys love this head, and what happens is there gets to be a little bit of a fracture in the sidewall here, and it's still completely usable. The problem is I see guys, their mesh and the sidewall gets caught in the opponent's mesh, and their sticks get stuck together all the time, because this is a completely operational head with a crack in the sidewall. So it's weird. It's a weird head. At the end of the day, I'm probably never going to use this head in the game. The mechanics of what it creates and the weirdness of it, it goes against what I'm used to with the blade and other heads. So this is not a head that I'm going to use going forward, but I totally get why it dominates the market right now. It's got a normal size throat, which I like. We talked about that with the dual. I don't like my hand being that close, so I like having space here to get in and out. You still have to have hand speed in order to use this head, but it will, if you have an under rotation, it will help you and aid you in catching up to other people. But if you aren't good at rotating in the screw drill, this is not a head that's going to help you get any better at it. So you're going to have to really dial it in. When you use the app, make sure you're using your video playback to make sure that you're getting over the top of the ball and you're rotating when you take live reps, because this is a head that's going to create mechanical issues if you don't pay attention to it. So that's just my take on this head. This one's strung up obviously with East Coast Hero Mesh, Black Ops Mesh. I do the sidewalls real loose. I know a lot of guys asked me after last week to do a little bit more of a zoom in on my sidewalls. So when I string my sticks, I do them all the same way. I have, the top wall, I just lock it up. It doesn't really matter how you do your top wall, who cares? Just to make sure it's as tight as possible. I like one nylon, and then I'll usually use 2 laces after that. This one only has 1 lace. And then I lock the sidewalls tight here and here, and then I just loop them. And then I lock it down here and here. So that way the pocket has lateral sway, but it's not going to give you too much whip. It's not going to hold up in there and get locked when you try to throw a pass. A lot of guys have sidewalls that are really tight. They lock them. So right here ends up being super tight, and you get that. See, like right here, if this sidewall was tight, it would cut into the pocket about a finger's width each way, and the ball would get stuck. So by just looping the sidewall, you have all of this space here for lateral movement, and the pocket goes in and out real easy, so you don't get that bubble effect. That's why I love the Hero Mesh so much, because it breaks in real easy, but it's stiff enough where you can rip shots with it. So that's the Nike CEO. That's my review of it. I think it's a solid head for guys that are used to that motion, but we also have to be very careful that it doesn't affect our mechanics. So pay attention. If you're an FO athlete, make sure that you're staying dialed in with your left-hand punch. You're getting your helmet low on the rotation on the screw drill, and make sure on your exits that you keep that left hand, even though you're going to lock it in, make sure you punch that left hand forward. Don't bring it into your body away, because you're going to expose the ball and you're going to leave it behind. Okay? All right, next week, the Brian Dictator. See you guys then.